supply chains in tariff limbo as companies navigate President Trump's trade uncertainty. Trump recently telling reporters he will not drop tariffs on China unless, quote, they give us something in return. The president also said another tariff pause is unlikely. For more on the potential fallout ahead for businesses, let's get to Flexport founder and CEO Ryan Petersen. Ryan, it's always good to catch up with you, especially at a time like this. Now, it's also interesting that both the president and Treasury Secretary Scott Bessent have acknowledged that this is almost an embargo on goods from China, or would result in such. Is that effectively what we're seeing? I know you watch all of the container ship traffic very carefully. What are you seeing right now?
Yeah, great. Thanks for having me on. We don't just watch the traffic. Those are our containers that are moving on there for our customers. So, yeah, we see across the industry about a 60% decline in ocean freight bookings from China to the U.S. Now, remember that a booking gets placed and then it doesn't actually arrive and get loaded on a ship for about 2 weeks. And then it takes 3 weeks to cross the ocean. So that lag there is going to mean that those container shortages are going to start, or the goods shortages are going to start a few weeks from now once the containers fail to arrive that weren't booked a few weeks ago.
Ryan, it's interesting. We talked to a former retail executive earlier, and he said he does not expect to have a lot of product shortages like we did during COVID. And he said that's because since the tariffs are so concentrated on China, that a lot of the retailers do have other sourcing potential, right, where they can draw from. Now, he's mostly has experience with the apparel industry. I know it goes much broader than that. But are we seeing more start to flow from other places?
You see a little bit of uptick in places like Vietnam, Southeast Asia, India, but we remember we don't know what the tariffs will be in those countries. We had a 90-day pause, and a lot of people are acting like, oh, there's going to be no tariffs on those countries, just the 10%, but we don't know. And the truth is, the United States imports over $400 billion worth of goods that retail from China, and those retail for, call it $1.5 trillion once they're marked up. So I don't know what he's talking about. Of course, there's going to be shortages of goods from China if this lasts.
Well, and I know you're focused really on small businesses in particular as perhaps being the most affected by all of this, right? They might have less flexibility than some of the larger businesses. I mean, what percentage of the goods on the container ships are bound for small businesses, and what's going to be the ripple effect?
I mean, most imports are done by larger companies in the U.S. Small businesses have a harder time shifting manufacturing to other countries because the manufacturers in those countries are looking for big customers, not small jobs. And they're pretty backlogged right now. So it's been harder for small business to find new factories, to find new sources. Big companies are more likely to have what's called a China plus one strategy, where they have multiple factories for the same item. But nonetheless, I mean, big companies import a ton of stuff from these other countries, from China, I mean.
Right, of course.
Apologies.
So what kind of hit are we going to potentially see? I know you've been tweeting a lot about this in terms of what potential hit we're going to see, the effect on small businesses and large businesses.
It all just depends on how long this lasts and whether Trump ends the tariffs or brings the tariffs back down, I should say. I'm expecting that, he said as recently as yesterday that they would probably bring this back down. We don't know to what level. But if it comes way back down, then, it'll be okay. Companies will rebook those containers and start moving the goods again. If it lasts in, a few more weeks, certainly a few more months, you're going to start to see shortages. You're going to start to see bankruptcies, unemployment, and really just a large-scale recession like we haven't seen in many, many years.
And what about those empty shelves, Ryan? What kinds of goods do you expect there to be that are not going to be coming in to the same extent? When are we going to start to see those not appearing here?
I would expect to see, well, again, it just depends. I mean, there may be there's a lot of inventory in stock. So as long as these tariffs get relieved soon, we probably won't see empty shelves. But if they don't, you'll see a whole range of things: home goods, things you buy for your house, furniture. A lot of apparel is still made in China. So those are probably the biggest categories. Electronics mostly got exempted.
Right.
It'll be a broad range of categories.
Ryan, great to see you. Have a good weekend.
Yeah, thank you.